Welcome to Mercy Medical Center Merced CPOE training. This tutorial is devoted to electronic signature. We will now be signing through the physician desktop workload management and your desktop. For those physicians that are married to PCI, as you can see on my desktop, I do still have PCI, and you would be able to sign through that. What you will find is that the orders are very difficult to read, so we're strongly encouraging everyone to use the physician desktop. As with every other application, I'm going to log into Meditech with my user ID and my password, and I'm going to click on the Physician Workload Manager. The acronym is PWM. It's going to bring me to this screen, and I'm going to click on my Physician Desktop. When my Physician Desktop launches, you'll notice that I have several buttons over here that I can choose from. I want you to think of this as your workflow or your workload, signing off those things that you've done. So I'm going to click on the workload button. When I click on the workload button at the bottom, I notice I only have one button that is active, and that is the sign button. It's telling me that I have something to sign. At this point, I don't know what it is, but I do need to engage this button. And to do that, I'm going to click on it. It's going to bring up now all of the reports, orders, or scanned forms that I need to sign. I know these are all of them because the blue All button is highlighted. What I'm going to strongly encourage physicians to do is to look at each one of these categories individually. So I have orders and reports because those buttons are highlighted in light blue, while forms is completely low lit. So I now know I have no scanned forms to sign. By clicking on orders, I am now only looking at my orders. The reason why I want you to do that is because if you are placing extensive orders with the nurses because you are unable to get to a computer, then each one of those orders, say an order set that may have 15 nursing orders or med orders, are going to come across to you individually. So as you can see, right now I only have 4 orders, but I could very easily have many more. It's very easy to read these orders individually. I can look at this and see that my test patient, Rosa, has a clear liquid diet that is active. I can see that my test patient, Kim, has a DC order for, it was a tetanus. I can see that test patient Zhang has 2 lab orders, one for a PT and a PTT, and they are both active. Very easy to read. Once I launch this to sign these orders, you're going to see that they're a little bit more busy and a little bit more difficult to work through. So I want to sign all my orders in a loop. That way I only have to put in my password once. To do that, I'm going to click on the blue check mark, and it now has applied a green check mark to all of these orders. This indicates that I'll be submitting my electronic signature on each one of these orders after I complete the loop. I want to submit my signature. I know some of you may at this point go, wait, I want to view the detail before I agree to sign these. Again, as I said, these are the orders here that you're currently viewing. When you view detail, it's going to give you all of the precautions and side effects for a medication, for example, and which nurse or lab assistant drew the blood. You probably don't need to know those details, but when you click submit, it's still going to show you a piece of the detail. So I'm getting ready. I've clicked submit to now bring up my orders. Here is the category lab, the procedure PT, the order date and time by the nurse for a service date and time. So again, you can see that's a lot of information on a PT. We saw it on the previous screen, and we already knew that test patient Zhang, right here, had a PT drawn. If I look at it on the previous screen, then I feel comfortable just clicking next to bring up the next order. This is the PTT on test patient Zhang. Again, you have all this extraneous information that is probably not important to you. I click next. The next order is the clear liquid diet. I've already seen that. I know it's on test patient Rosa. I'm going to click next. Now I'm at the discontinued order for that tetanus that I mentioned earlier. I know the status is discontinued, but more importantly than that, over here, I can't click Next, I have the sign button activated. This lets me know that I'm at the last order in this loop of orders. So at this point, I can choose to sign this order, or let's say that this was not to be discontinued. I could unqueue it, and I could have done that on any of the preceding orders as well. Take them out of my queue to be signed later. But I want to sign all my orders, so I'm going to come back and click sign. It now asks me for my password, which I type in and hit enter. You'll now notice that my orders button is also low lit, indicating I have no further orders to sign. So now let's go to our reports. I'm going to click on the reports button. I see I have 4 reports on patient Rowell, H&P, patient Rosa, an op or procedure report, patient Zhang, a critical care note, and patient CPOE, an echocardiogram report. Again, I'm going to go to my blue check mark, click on it, and now I've activated each one of these reports to be signed in a loop. I want to submit these reports for my signature, so I'm going to click on the Submit button. The first report that comes up is the history and physical. In this example, if you take a moment to read through it, I've given you a report that when I look at it and I say, oh, this was test patient Rowell, and it's an H&P. And I go, as I'm reading it, I look at it and I go, uh-oh, completely wrong patient. This should have been on a completely different patient, and I have inadvertently told the transcriptionist the wrong patient for this report. I don't want to sign it. So I'm going to click unqueue. It's now going to flip me to my next report. In this case, it's a critical care note in the emergency setting. When I look at this report, again, always make sure, I want to highlight this, that you're looking at the patient name so you can ensure that the report is the correct one for the patient. But as I'm looking at this report, I can see that I see ... Anywhere in the body of a report, our transcriptionists, if they recognize that something doesn't sound quite right, they're going to identify that area of the report for you. Also, if they can't understand what you said, they are going to put these little dashes in to draw your attention to the fact that they have missing information because they didn't know what you were saying. I know right away when I see this, I'm going to need to edit this report. So I'm going to click on the edit button. And notice it opens up the report further for me. And as it does, I can see that there's more than one area where there's mistakes. So if I want to get into the editing function, I can click anywhere in this report below these dotted blue lines or above the signature area. So I like to just click up here at the top. I double clicked. It's giving me the prompt to edit the section. Now while we're here, let's just take a moment to discuss. There's never a reason to print your report from here. First of all, if you printed this report, it's an incomplete report. You want to print it after you've made your corrections and you've signed it, and you can do that from Clinical Review or PCI. Change status to pending. Never change a status of anything to pending. It goes out into Meditech cyberspace, never to be found. Medical records will haunt you, telling you that you have a report to sign that is outstanding. You'll be in your e-sign queue and not see that report, and there is going to be an unhappy HIM tech and an unhappy physician. So you say to yourself, why do we even see that? Bear in mind that Meditech is a national product. At some point along the way, some facility has asked for that, and it's become a standard. So we only use edit section. Go ahead and click on that. I'm now in basically a word processing mode. I can take my mouse, I can click down here where I see the dash, dash, dash. I can take that out and put in something that is appropriate to this patient. So I have hypotension with sepsis, possible, I'm going to change this to Euro. Septic syndrome. Then I'm going to go ahead and come down here, and I'm going to change a timeout was performed during and prior to beginning the procedure under, and I'm going to say this was probably sterile technique. Again, by opening up the report at the top of the page, I can read everything that's within the body of this report, and it makes it easier for me to be able to put in the right information. I'm using my down arrow. I can click on it on my keyboard where the down arrows are and just take this on down. Check the remainder of the report. That's all that is in the report. Now, you at this point, to save your changes, there is a green check mark, which you may not be able to see on this screen because it's off to the right at the very top of the screen. You can click that, and that's your OK key. But since you can't see that, your shortcut key is F12. Clicking my F12 key, you may have heard the little ping that says that it has saved my information. So I can look at this and I see that there it is, possible uroseptic syndrome under sterile technique. I can page down using my page down keys and see if there were anything else I missed and review the report. If I'm happy with the report, I'm going to go ahead and page back up, not that you absolutely need to sign it. And I'm happy with it, I'm going to click the F12 key. If I wasn't, and I wanted to change something else, maybe the blood pressure was actually 90/40. I haven't signed this report, nor have I queued it up, so I can double click there, click on Edit Section, come right over here, take that 7 out and make that a 90. And what key do you think I'm going to click to save this change? You're right, F12. And it saved my change. I'm happy with this report now, and I want to queue it up. To queue it up, I'm going to click my F12 key or the green check mark, which you'll be able to see on your screen. We just can't because of the size limitation of this video. And you'll notice it's brought me back to my choices, which is to go to my next report or to unqueue it. I'm happy with my changes. I'm going to go to my next report. This is an op procedure note. I'm going to go ahead and use my page down key and look for any of those dashes that transcriptionists have let me know for sure there is an error. I don't see any. So I'm going to take a moment. I'm going to read my report, and I like this report. It's a good report. So I'm going to go ahead and hit next. The next report that I'm at is my echocardiography. And again, I don't see any obvious errors. I'm going to page down. I still see no errors. Taking a moment to read the report, and I agree with this report. So I'm going to go ahead and I have the choice of signing it or unqueuing it. I can't hit next. Why? You're right, because I'm at the end of the report loop. So I'm going to go ahead and click sign. Now, before I put in my password, I'm going to drag this down for you. Notice that the very first report, which was the history and physical, and remember I told you that it was on the completely wrong patient? It's not checked. So when I apply my password here, it's not going to sign that report. So let's go ahead and just do that. And all the other reports successfully signed. Reports is still an active button because I need to have this report taken out of my queue. Once I go ahead and call transcription and I give them the patient's name, the report number, and the report type, they'll pull that out of my e-sign queue. I'll give them the name of the patient that it should have applied to, and they will download it to that patient's record, and I'll be able to then go back and sign these reports. But for right now, I am going to have the one outstanding report because it was on the wrong patient. So I hope that answers all the questions that you might have on electronic signature. And you are welcome to call me or HIM anytime you need help with the electronic signature. My name is Cheryl Bejenot, and my phone number is 209-564-4306. Thank you very much.